One of the things that I found interesting when we were looking up all the statistics on this, wealthier men cheat more, but wealthier women cheat less.
Oh,
So I thought
really?
that was interesting. Welcome back to our podcast, and I'm Leah Mayersohn,
And I'm Denise Isaacs.
and we're both divorce attorneys, and we're here today to talk to you about cheating so that hopefully we can prevent you from getting into a relationship that ends in divorce and ends in you being in our offices.
This is what we're going to be talking about: celebrity cheating, our clients cheating, who cheats, who they cheat with, why they cheat. We're going to educate you about every part of it.
Do you want to talk about like Angelina Jolie, that she cheats with all the men she has the
Yes, they have to be
relationship-
married or she doesn't
Yeah.
cheat with them.
Exactly.
Or
You don't want her to be the
or
lead role.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, he was a big cheater.
Why? Why? He had the most wonderful wife, the most wonderful life. He just
And did you see that housekeeper? I can't believe he cheated with her. And that's one of the cases I have. Well, I can't. I gotta be careful because she's very readily identifiable. This guy looks like one of the dregs of the earth, and she looks like a supermodel.
well,
That we're recording.
Harvey Weinstein. Sure, we're talking
Okay.
about Harvey Weinstein
No.
and Georgina Chapman.
Well,
He's
Yeah, that's
looks
true.
like
He
a
looks like
dog.
a troll.
yeah.
Yeah. So I had many different clients with different crazy relationships. I had one where this girl was just absolutely knockout. The guy was absolutely disgusting. And within weeks of their very elaborate, wedding that took place in multiple different countries at the most luxurious resorts, he was cheating on her with the most disgusting women you could even imagine. And you can't even imagine that they'd be in the same league as this person. They definitely were not. They were not in the same league financially. They were not in the same league talent-wise. They were not in the same league in any way, shape, or form. And this is his wife. And ultimately, they had a child together. And within the first week of her having the baby, he went out and was cheating on her with not one, but
she
multiple women. She found
God.
out. She found all the phone records, the photos, the videos, all the evidence.
What was the side? How did she find out?
She saw that in his hair, he had dark colored hair. There was a blonde hair, and she saw something in his car that looked like a blonde hair.
Oh God.
And the statistics, we found that more blonde women cheat than than women with other hair colors, not present company included. And she just had a gut feeling that something was not right. He kept disappearing. He was disappearing into his car and going places, saying he was going to pick something up, coming back hours later. And he was going out. I think he was a sex addict, and he was cheating on her with all these other women while she's recovering at home from a C-section from having their first child together.
So do you think that he wanted to get caught because he was leaving all of these hints all over? I think that there's a lot of cheating where the person wants to get caught.
I think in this particular situation, he was just incredibly sloppy. But I agree with you. I've had other cases where people just want to end it and they're too chicken to end it.
Right.
And they'll go ahead
Right.
and have an affair and be loose about it so that the other partner can discover it and they
Right.
can be done with it.
The end of the marriage affair. There are so many of them. They just cannot tell their spouse, I don't want to be married anymore, so they use some other third person and make sure that the hotel bill is there, or that they see the credit card bill that has a fancy restaurant that the wife knows she didn't go to.
In looking at the statistics, 69% of marriages involve an affair. And with that affair that's discovered, 40% of them divorce and 60% try to reconcile. And then of the 60% that try to reconcile, a good percentage get divorced after that. And that's according to many different psychological associations. I think that this might be actually a low number, just informally talking to my clients about what's going on in their marriages. Some people lie to their psychologists and psychiatrists so that the statistics aren't accurately reported.
Right. So men report that they have affairs far more than women do. But what do you think? Do you think as many women have affairs, but they just won't own up to it?
I think you're right, because the statistics again show 56% of men and 34% of women own up to affairs. And I think it's higher.
I think it's higher for the women because they just won't admit that they were having affairs. I don't think that there's such a difference, although it would be maybe, I don't know. Do you think that, I think that more men have affairs than women, but I think a lot of women have affairs. What do you think?
I agree with you. I do think that definitely more men than women have affairs, but I think more women have affairs than women
own up to
admit
it.
to having
Right.
affairs. But I have to say it's hard for me to tell, because although I represent both men and women, I happen to have far more male clients than female clients, just because my law firm tends to represent the higher net worth and ultra high net worth clients. And there are still more men than women who fall into that category today. I think over time the demographics are changing, and I think long term there are ultimately going to be more women, as more women are out earning men. But I think for now, it's harder for us to tell on an anecdotal level.
Going back to our thoughts about higher earning, when the wife earns more money than the husband, the wife is less likely to have an affair. So I just wanted to put that as an aside. But when it comes to talking about infidelity, being divorce lawyers, we see it all the time, but every once in a while there's just something, a case or somebody telling you something that just sears your heart, that you just could cry for them. I had a young lady who came into me. She'd been married for about 2 years, and her husband started immediately after the marriage. He was a little bit more distant, and he would disappear for not just the Monday through Friday. He would come back Monday through Monday, and he would be going on drives with he would be leaving in his car and going different places.
Well, listen, if you feel like in your gut something is wrong, 100% you're right. You might not be able to find the evidence of it, but go with your gut. Because every single time that I've gone with my gut, or one of my clients has told me they followed their gut, what do you think they found?
Right. I tell my clients, don't hire PIs. Don't hire private investigators. There's no reason to. If you think that she's cheating, if you think he's cheating, it's the truth, unless the person is super jealous. But getting back to my story. Okay, so what she did was she put in a recording device that went on when you turned the engine on. And what happened is she took the tape out and played the tape, and there's her husband with his former girlfriend. And they're laughing at her that she doesn't know what's going on. And they've been having this. They were living together for a couple of years. And during the time that they were living together, before they got married, they were having an affair. And they're laughing at her. And it just devastated her.
That's terrible. But you got to be careful, because if you put a recording device in a car, Florida is a two-party consent state. And you could end up being charged criminally for that. What do you think the top reasons are that people cheat?
Proximity. We know that 81% of affairs happen in the workplace, but it's proximity. Okay, here's another story. I had this older woman. She was living in a community, and they had a dog. So the husband used to take the dog for a walk. He met the lady across the street, and not only did they have an affair, but he moved in with her.
Oh, God.
Okay, so she was devastated, and she said to me, "Why did this happen? It's proximity. He met her And then he had an affair. It's like at work. They're working and going out to dinner and having lunch and talking together, and it's the proximity of somebody and their openness to having an affair.
I definitely think that work colleagues are a huge problem, and that goes along with certain types of professions you want to stay away from. And we'll talk about that on
Yes,
another episode.
yes. And
But I think
I just wanted to insert one thing. And who is who do people generally have affairs with? Look at Shania Twain and her husband, whatever his name is. He had an affair with her best friend. Why? Because of proximity. I had a girlfriend who came to me, and she was devastated for years because her husband had an affair and then married her best friend, and she couldn't get over it. And I understand. And she said, anybody else I could have accepted, but not my best friend.
And unfortunately, that happens a lot. There are a lot of revenge affairs. There are a lot of people cheating, to get even. A lot of need ego boosts or
Right.
seeking
Ego boost
validation.
or admiration. After you've been married to someone for 20 years, there isn't the same kind of admiration. Look at Clinton, President Clinton, and that young intern, you know?
Yeah. Boredom. I think some people cheat because they're bored sexually. And let's be honest, some people just love the thrill. They love
Yes.
the thrill of
Yes.
getting caught. They love the thrill of secret meetups. They love texts. They're addicted to the adrenaline and sneaking around. You mentioned work colleagues, close friends, exes, lots and lots and lots of nannies.
Right. And they've expanded adultery. Okay. Or the world has expanded adultery because now we have social media. So people are having emotional affairs through texts. Imagine, but it's just as real as having an emotional affair with someone who you're meeting, although they aren't having sex in person, but they are emotionally opening themselves up to someone when they should be emotionally opening themselves up to their spouse.
I've had a number of clients who were getting divorced because they were online, got catfished, thought they were emotionally cheating with someone, and it turns out it was probably someone in Nigeria or North Korea. And in each occasion, they ended up losing millions of dollars. Just terrible.
Oh, God. And did you read the woman who lost $850,000 because she thought that she was texting with Brad Pitt?
Yes.
Eh, you know, I feel for her. I do. I don't want to laugh at her, but it's life. It's terrible, and you have to have a sense of humor.
Yes, absolutely. And I think a lot of men and now a lot of women,
Yes.
midlife crisis time, go ahead and have affairs because they're feeling inadequate. They're feeling they're missing something in their life. They're bored. They're settled.
Or they're
And
just going through a midlife crisis. Who am I? What am I going to do now? The kids are out of the house. Oh my God. I need some excitement in my life. I need someone to validate me. There's a good reason that I'm going to the gym. There's a good reason I changed my hairstyle, bought myself a sports car, got a personal trainer.
one of the things that I found interesting when we were looking up all the statistics on this, wealthier men cheat more, but wealthier women cheat less.
Oh,
So I thought
really?
that was interesting.
And what percentage of the people who come into you are getting divorced because of infidelity?
It seems like a very high percentage of the people are getting divorced based upon infidelity. And they get very, very angry over it. And they seem very frustrated when they want to retaliate against the other party and prove that they were cheating. And then I discussed with them that you can't really do much about the infidelity unless your partner was spending a lot of money on the other party, because otherwise it's not always financially prudent to go ahead and talk about it in court and try to recover the money.
And do you think that the person who discovers the adultery, do you think that they turn around and that they fight more?
I definitely think that they feel betrayed and they want to lash out more. Sometimes I see that they want to lash out through their lawyers, And sometimes it makes financial sense.
And most times it makes zero financial sense.
Absolutely. And other times they'll lash out by having little affairs or somehow tormenting their partner in a different way.
Right, by turning the children against the adulterer. That woman that I was talking to you about, whose husband moved in with the woman across the street, turned her adult children, they were in their 60s, against their father. They wouldn't speak to their father. I hope that later the children would be more understanding. But there are many couples who, in their later years, are not together. They're not in us. They're not together. They live their separate lives. They're separated, living in the same house.
Yeah, I've seen an increasing amount of people in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s getting divorced. And I think
It's shocking.
it's very shocking to me because they've been together a huge amount of years. And a lot of times, they're just bored and they don't want to go back and revisit what drew them together. And over years, there are lots of resentments that have developed over time, over petty arguments that they just let fester. And then you see one or the other one starting to cheat. And a lot of times I see the
Right,
men
right.
trading in the wife for a younger model. Occasionally, I see the wife trying to date someone else, but usually if they're much older, it's someone more age equivalent.
So Viagra works.
Apparently, Viagra works. Just look at the villages and all the statistics
Oh,
and
right,
information
right,
that have
right.
come out
We
about the
did that.
villages and the STDs.
Oh, God.
It's really shocking.
It's really shocking, but people are living longer, they're living healthier, and there's Viagra. I'm just telling you.
So if you've been in a situation and you've been cheated on and you want to talk about it, or you can think about other types of cheaters that either you've experienced or a close friend has experienced, DM us. We want to hear from you. And don't forget that marriage is a contract. You must read the fine print.